Yes, people, what is going on? Hope you are all good. Welcome back to another video on the channel. I've got a question for you before we start. Will Mikel Arteta become only the fourth manager in Premier League history to retain the Premier League? Sir Alex Ferguson, Jose Mourinho, Pep Guardiola. Will number 4 on that list be Arteta? I hope not. But who knows, we'll have to see how this pans out. But for now and for today, we're going to do a little bit of a predictions video. We're going through the big 6. We're going through the top of the table today. We'll talk about plenty of stuff to do with the rest of the teams in the Premier League. So if your team does not get mentioned, I apologise in that. But we will go on and talk about them at a later date, of course. So let's waste no more time. Make sure you subscribe if you're new around here. Hit that like button and get the comments going. Answer that question. Will Mikel Arteta become number 4 on that list? And will Arsenal win the Premier League again? We're going to start with the team that Arsenal pipped to the line last year and the team that lost the title rather than Arsenal winning it, in my opinion. It's Manchester City. They have been getting progressively worse over the last few years, and Arsenal came up at a perfect time for Manchester City to be pipped. Now, with that being said, obviously, of course, no longer with Pep Guardiola, and now Enzo Maresca, the ex-Chelsea manager, is in charge there. What do I think of their chances? Well, to be honest with you, I think they're quite slim, actually, to retain the Premier League. I'm just looking here at their outgoings, and it's nuts. Elliot Anderson, only real big name that has come in. And then after that, it's Reinders, it's Rodri, it's Trafford, it's Ake, it's Akanji. The list goes on and on and on. John Stones, Bernardo Silva. It only says one thing to me, which is that they are massively lacking experience and quality. Now they, of course, got loads of attacking talent, and Erling Haaland will always make sure that Manchester City are in with a chance of winning the Premier League. But there's been a few conversations about his location after not this summer, but next, because there's a few people that think that Manchester City might be on the way down. The big thing for me with this is I think that if you look at the Community Shield, and it's not a game that I would ever focus on in any other capacity, but if you were to focus on the Community Shield, you then have this big question that comes into play, which is Enzo Fernandez. Enzo Fernandez is this name that has been spoken about all the time with Manchester City, and I don't necessarily know if Enzo Fernandez fixes the problems that Manchester City currently have. They were so poor defensively, and when you've lost the likes of Akanji and John Stones that have been regular mainstays in the team over the last few years, I know, again, last season sort of both dipped in and out, injuries and other things getting in the way, but a lot of experience and a lot of quality. The thing that I think is a big problem for this Manchester City team is the fact that they will leak goals. Now, yes, Donnarumma in goal will help that massively, but I think the one area that they need to strengthen, they have not strengthened. And I think the back line is decent. I know, of course, they got Gehi in January. He had a really good World Cup. Not brilliant, but a really good World Cup for England. I just don't think that Manchester City are going to be up there for a real title chance, just because I think they're going to drop points. I think they're going to give away stupid goals. I think they're going to make really silly mistakes. And I think if you look at Enzo Maresca when he was at Chelsea, although Chelsea did have many, many other problems, Enzo Maresca's side still always did concede goals. The first time that Chelsea really struggled is when they went behind. And when they went behind, it left them a lot of work to do. And then teams will sit in against that. Now, again, I think that City have probably got more quality to go and break down teams than Chelsea did at that moment in time. But realistically, I think big picture, they will get to a few positions where they will struggle to pick up points. I think they might nick a draw here and there. They might end up nicking a few wins. But I just think those couple of points here and there are going to be the thing that ultimately doesn't give them a chance to win the Premier League. With that being said, I'm going to go out there on quite a bold statement. I have a weird feeling that Manchester City may win the Champions League, because I think the firepower does talk in that competition, and they definitely have got it. The last team to win the Premier League that was not Manchester City or Arsenal was Liverpool. Do I fancy their chances? That is a very big question. And I think, I'm honest with you, no, I don't. The reason why I don't is because I just don't think they've improved where they need to improve. Very similar with Manchester City. But I'm thinking about the back line. Because the back line is very good when you think about Virgil van Dijk, you think about Trent, you think about Robertson, you think about that great team that they had that went on to win the Champions League, made the final as well. Good team, good back line. 2 of those have gone, and the other one is on the way down. Virgil van Dijk is a fantastic footballer, but he has to have the right person next to him. If not, you can go round him. And that's what has happened a few times. Now, next to him was Konate. Konate that has just joined Real Madrid. Yes, it was a free agent, but still you join Real Madrid. You've done something right. When it comes to the big picture of Liverpool, they've signed Ronald Araujo on loan from Barcelona. Now, I don't know much about him. I know a lot of people will talk very fondly about him, but I have to base it off of what I've seen. And what I've seen was him playing against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge and him having an absolute nightmare. Sent off, scored no goal, obviously before he got sent off, and they lost 3-0. Battered. Chelsea absolutely battered Barcelona that day, but it was their back line that was so poor. Now, you have to think, why do Barcelona get rid of a player like Araujo on loan? The reason why it's on loan is because they know that his stock right now is going to hit the floor. So Liverpool didn't want to go and pay for him. Araujo is in a position now where he goes to the Premier League. If he gets it right, he gets a big move to Liverpool or potentially somewhere else around Europe. But realistically, is that going to happen? No. Also, don't know if you're aware, Liverpool have lost Mo Salah. It could be the biggest upside to their season, or it could be the worst thing that has ever happened to them. There is somewhere in the middle, there is a line. I don't know what that line entails. That's where I feel that they're going to be. So I'm not going to say where I think they're going to finish. I'll do that at the end of the video. But just so you know, there is a little asterisk next to Liverpool because they could either be absolutely great and they could be up there challenging with a title chance, or they could be absolutely horrendous. I don't know if there's anything in the middle. Now, I won't tell you where I've put you. That is coming at the end. But I don't think you're going to be happy. So I might be wrong, and please do let me know if I am. But realistically, I can't see this being the year Liverpool are going to go back to their best. I don't even think there's a trophy in it this season for them. I just think there's problems left, right and centre. Throw in a new manager as well. I don't think it's going to be a good mix. Tottenham. Oh, this is an interesting one. Can you get any worse? Well, Tottenham fans, you can, but you're not going to, because you're not going to get relegated. That is physically impossible for Spurs. But 2 17th place finishes is alarming. Now, it's alarming if you don't do anything about it. And to be fair to Spurs, they have. They've gone and brought in a couple of decent names. I'm just going to read off them here to you. They've spent a lot of money in doing so, so that's the only thing you do need to factor in. But it is Tonali, Mateus Fernandes, Paul Van Hecke. They brought in Dubravka on a free, which is actually quite a good signing. They've brought in Senzi, they've brought in Robertson, both of them on free signings as well. But Van Hecke, 52, Mateus Fernandes, 85, and Sandro Tonali, £100 million. Now, I have to say, they have had last couple of years has been really problematic for Spurs, particularly for injury concerns as well. You look at someone like Kulusevski, I couldn't tell you the last time he kicked a football, but a very good player. If they do come back after their injury concerns and have the attacking talent that I think that they could potentially have, and I actually fancied them to do quite well last year. I didn't see them finishing 17th again. But I think they have got it. And I look at someone like Xavi Simons, who, again, he has had a massive injury. He needs to come back in. But you're looking at someone like Maddison as well. They have got quality in this team. Do they probably still need a centre forward? I would argue yes. But I don't know if that's going to be something that's easily got over the line in the last week of the window. And you also got to remember some of the quality that they've already got up front as well. Can they make something work? Absolutely yes. This is Spurs. Spurs never going to win the league. I'm sorry in that, Spurs fans. It's just not the sort of thing that Spurs do. There's been no history to tell me anything recently, which even means you've got a chance of winning the league. But particularly this year, I just can't see it being the case. I just think Arsenal are way too strong, and I'm not even sure if they win the league, and I just think Spurs are a level below that. But with that being said, can they make themselves a really, really strong top 4 shout? Absolutely yes, and that is a huge success for Spurs. I mean, even getting into a Europa League spot would be a huge success for Spurs. But realistically, I just think that they're going to struggle. And I know Spurs fans constantly go, well, it's because you're a Chelsea fan and this and that. It's not. I just don't think you're run properly. I think there's been way too much turmoil at the club. The signings that I'm seeing here, it's a very good indication that things are going in the right direction. But to win a league title, No, that's not happening. I do genuinely think they'll finish in and around that top 4, top 6 spot somewhere, Spurs. And that'll be a massive success for their season. So, yeah, Spurs will finish in and around the top 6, but definitely not going to win it. Manchester United have made 2 really, really good signings, but is that enough to take them back to the promised land? The 2 signings I'm talking about are Andre Santos from Chelsea and Yuri Tielemans from Aston Villa. 50 million for Santos, and it was 35 million, I believe, for Yuri Tielemans. And the thing about Tielemans and Andre Santos is they do both play the same position. So that midfield, if they are going to start both of them week 1, it might look a little bit untidy. And I think realistically what will probably happen is it will be they come in, they sort of bring her in slowly. Yes, they've had pre-season, but I don't feel like it'll be both of them starting week 1. I feel like it might be one and then swap for the other. That's what I think is probably going to happen. But in terms of their quality, they have got it. And of course now with Carrick at the helm, that's a big, big thing for Manchester United. They needed to change the way they were doing things. They were spending ridiculous amounts of money on players that never deserved it. I'm looking at their outgoings just very quickly as I'm on here. Rasmus Højlund has gone to Napoli for £38 million. You have then got someone like Casemiro, who they spent quite a decent amount of money on as well. He's gone to Inter Miami on a free. You think about Jadon Sancho. He has only just been released from Manchester United. Malacia, Onana. All these players have just been released from Manchester United, which means they aren't paying their wages. But not great, is it? It's not brilliant news. Because you've got to think the money that they spent and the product they got out of them is miles apart. So when you start thinking about then Andre Santos, who is definitely one for the future, this year I don't think he's going to do much. But I do think for the next sort of 5-10 years, potentially in a Man United shirt, Andre Santos will be a very, very good player for them. To be honest with you, he was the one Chelsea player I did not want to let go. I like him. I see what the logic is for him, but I didn't think it was ever going to work at Chelsea. If we were going to sell him, I wanted him to go abroad. But Manchester United, it was a great signing for £50 million. It might be worth 10 times that in 10 years' time because he is a great footballer and he's one that is on the way up. But for Man United, they have got rid of a lot of dead wood. There's still a couple of bits around the club. You've got someone like Bruno Fernandes, who is excellent. You think about the attacking talent of someone like Cunha and Buemo and others. I think they can do well. I worry about their defence. That's the big thing for me. Now, they might go and win games 4-3, and that is definitely something they've got in the locker, but I think you can't do that every single week in the Premier League, and I do think they will struggle. I don't know if I dislike them as much as others. I can't see them winning the league, I've got to be honest, but if they got it right, they could be laughing. They're the sort of team, if they're going to win the league, they're going to do it by playing great football and battering teams. They're not going to go and hold on to a couple of results here and there. But they also now, this year, have Champions League football, which they didn't have last year. And I do think that means that they will drop off. So I do think, yes, still top 6, probably even still top 4. But realistically, I can't see it being the greatest season for Manchester United. With that being said, they have got the ability to go and score goals. So at very least, it will be entertaining. Hold on to your hats. There's a lot to talk about. It's Chelsea. Now, Chelsea have a lot going on. There is a huge amount of incomings and a huge lot of outgoings. I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but I will talk about the players that are coming in because they are a big factor. It's Rodgers, it's Lacroix, it's Quenda, it's Palestra, Danny Welbeck. Valentin Barco is going to get a mixed reception in the Premier League, and people like Jordan Henderson as well. There's been a lot of stuff made about Chelsea's transfer business. I think I'll talk about it in a separate video when I've seen a couple of games of it so I can really know what it is that we're looking at. But I think that Chelsea have got the ability to go and win this Premier League. I do think they have. And I think one of the big things for it is the fact that they haven't got any European football. They haven't got anything else to worry about with midweek. It's one game a week, bar a couple of cup games. And I think that is going to play into their hands massively. With that also being said, Xabi Alonso, brand new to the Premier League. Could it be up here or could it be down here? We don't know. And I think that a lot of people are trending it's going to be up here. And a lot of people are fancying Chelsea's chances. But I realistically think that it is a lot of change and transition. Now, what I will be doing as a Chelsea fan, slightly biased here, if anyone who is unaware, I will be looking at Xabi Alonso, big picture, and thinking, how well do I think you're going to do based off of what I've seen you do as a manager previously. Well, I've seen him go undefeated. When he went to Real Madrid, many managers have been there and have struggled. I'm not going to look too much into that. That's a very difficult environment. But what I will say is Chelsea need to make sure the environment is right. And that is a big thing involving Enzo Fernandez. I mentioned about Barco as well. Of course, everything that happened in the summer with Argentinian players and their thoughts against England annoying a lot of England fans. They're going to get booed everywhere they go. And the thing that is a big question, I think, is, of course, there's still the rumours about Enzo Fernandez. Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? If he does, what happens? Who comes in? Blah, 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 blah. There's a lot to factor in, which is why I want to wait a couple of games. But if Chelsea do not get the harmony of the dressing room right, and Enzo Fernandez and others as well, not only Enzo, I always keep saying Enzo, but others as well, if these cracks that started to appear over the last 2 years in terms of the dressing room structure, if they start to appear again, then Xabi Alonso has a big task on his hands, and he has to make big decisions. But in terms of Chelsea's incomings, it's a lot of money, but particularly Morgan Rogers. Morgan Rogers, who was linked with the Premier League champions, Arsenal, signing for Chelsea for £117 million. Do I think he's going to hit the ground running? No. I have to be honest. I don't necessarily know where he fits in this Chelsea team. There's the rumours about the 3 at the back, 4 in midfield, 3 out front, with the 2 either side of João Pedro up front being Cole Palmer and Morgan Rogers. I could see that working. I really could. But what I could also see working is him playing in a 4-2-3-1 with Rogers in the hole behind, Cole Palmer out on one side, Estevao out on the other. I don't know exactly how it looks. So I think that Morgan Rogers will be a very good footballer, and I think he will go and do very well for Chelsea, and I think he will build into the season, but hit the ground running, maybe not, especially after the World Cup as well, where he did play a little bit more than I think maybe even some people expected him to. Had it not have been for Jude Bellingham, I think he probably would have played every single game. But you've got to think about some of the other players that are coming in. Lacroix is a great footballer. If he plays in a back 3, it will be with Colwill and Reece James. That, as an idea of a 3, could be lovely for Chelsea fans to think about. I do like the idea. I do like some of the moves. I like Palestra. I don't necessarily know where he fits because he can play either wing-back spot. I think Chelsea have signed talent. I think they've signed experience with people like Welbeck and Jordan Henderson, which I do think were great moves, if you do want to know my opinion. They're never going to play every single week, but Welbeck coming off the bench, I always used to put him in my fantasy team every single week when he played Chelsea because I knew he was going to score. So at least I have that one that I don't have to worry about, although I am now going to have to think about where I'm going to get about 12 points a season from. Different topic. We'll come back to that another time. But Chelsea, do I think they can win the league? Yes, I do. I do think they'll be right up there, and I think that they will be massively helped by the fact that they have no European football. Is it enough? I don't know. I would love to see it be the case. And I think that Chelsea have a weird habit of winning the league in circumstances like this. And based off of the others that are in the league, I do think Chelsea have got the best chance to go and topple Arsenal. And now for Arsenal. This is a very, very interesting one. Based off a couple of their signings, they should be right up there to win the league again. Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle, £75 million. That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. But someone like Ezri Konsa as well. Hincapié now, of course, has signed previously. He was on loan. He's now signed permanently. There's a couple of other players as well. They've got, I can never say the guy's name, Christos Solis, might be wrong in that, from Club Brugge anyway, played in the Community Shield, did look a decent footballer. And they've also got Melier as well on a free from Leeds. But there's a couple of people that have gone out, people like Trossard, Norgard, and a couple of others as well. Not loads, but there are a few people that are still toying with moves away from Arsenal. I think the big thing about Arsenal is sort of very similar to how it was last year in the Premier League. I think that Arsenal are in the best position to go and win the league because I think the quality of everyone else has gone down. So I do think they will win the league. And the final table, I will show you happily now. This is how I see it finishing. I see Arsenal being at the top of the table because of the fact that I think everyone else around them is worse. I feel Chelsea are going to be the team that gets closest, and I even think Arsenal will probably decline as well. If they didn't ask me to put points in here, but if I did put points in here, I think there's all the teams inside the top 6 are within 15 points of each other, which would be a lot better than what we've seen in the last couple of years. I think it's going to be a lot more balanced, and I think that very easily the couple of results that I've been mentioning in these videos is I do think those couple of results here and there are going to be huge factors. But those couple of points, 2 points dropped, could be the difference between Liverpool being in the Champions League or completely missing out altogether. I mentioned the asterisks earlier on as well. I think that Aston Villa are the team that could potentially end up there sixth, and I think Liverpool could be the team that drop out. I'm not saying it as a certainty. I'm putting them in there because I think that they will do it. But if anyone is going to cause them a problem, it will be Aston Villa. In terms of everyone else, I think that's all interchangeable. I think it's very close. I don't think there's a standout favourite in this competition other than Arsenal, and that's based off of the fact that they won it previously. Other than that, if this was a completely new league with no previous winner, I would have every single team level because I genuinely don't think anyone is that far ahead of anyone else. We have seen City go and whack way more points out than Arsenal did last year, even in the last 3 or 4 years. We've seen them put up big totals, big numbers, and they could do it at any point. But so could any of these teams. I don't necessarily know what the Premier League looks like, but if I had to guess, this is what I'm going for. But please let me know what you think and make sure you answer the question as well down in the comments. Will Arsenal be the first team to retain the Premier League that is not Manchester United, Chelsea or Manchester City? It's a very exclusive club, but will Mikel Arteta get in there? If you're new around here, make sure you like, share and subscribe. I'll be doing a few more of these videos coming up over the next couple of weeks as we get into the full flow of the season. It's great to be back. Make sure you subscribe if you're new around here and stay tuned for all of the content coming up on Craigo28, including this weekend and next commentary in the National League. So make sure you stay tuned for all of that and check out the video if you haven't already. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.